Hey, what's up guys? Joker here. Today I wanted to talk to you about Battlefield 1 and custom servers. Recently there was a post over on Anarchy Gaming UK regarding the future of not having custom servers for Battlefield 1, and this is something that certainly did not surprise me when I saw this post go up over on Anarchy Gaming, as someone that in the past has run Battlefield servers for a number of years. Back during Battlefield 3, I ran servers for one of the biggest online gaming communities on the PC for Battlefield 3, and then also for about the first year of Battlefield 4, and then after that I had kind of bowed out of my duties and other people had taken over doing that job of managing the servers. But based on my past having run servers, I could foresee some of the problems that might come with not having custom servers and being able to rent your own servers and use plugins through something like Procon, which is something we would use to manage the servers and also implement all of our plugins. Without that, you would really have a lot of very, very basic features. But before we jump into that, let's talk about the post over on Anarchy Gaming. They just wanted to let people know, quoting them, "Just a heads up, I thought this might interest you. Our server provider has just informed us that they won't be providing any BF1 servers. In fact, no providers will be renting BF1 servers in the traditional way they do now. Instead, MS Azure, Amazon, AWS, and i3D will provide server resources to DICE for selling to communities directly. There will be limited access to server settings adjustments and no Procon, and I guess any alternative option." So basically identical to the console model. That's quoting the post over on Anarchy Gaming UK. So obviously that's going to restrict the amount of tools that admins are going to have at their disposal and the amount of customization that they can do. There was a post over on Reddit with a screenshot back from during the recent open beta of some of the toggleable options that we could maybe expect to see. We see them, most of them just set here on and 100%. Previously in Battlefield games, these would be the types of options that you would see in the very basic server configuration options in something like NFO servers. That's what we had used to run our servers. So you can see the options here like hero classes, minimap spotting, bullet damage, things like that. Could potentially be adjustable in here. We don't know if you'll be able to adjust things like player size, which is one of the big things that I think could possibly be a problem, certainly on the PC where a lot of people like to play 64-player servers. Back during the recent beta, they did have Rush, which is probably one of my favorite game modes going back to Bad Company 2, and that was restricted to 24 players, which I found to be really unfortunate, and I do hope that we are allowed to have higher server counts for basically any mode. I don't want there to be a restriction where DICE is saying, we want this exact player count on this exact game mode and that's it, no changes whatsoever, which is what I am personally afraid of, because DICE has kind of been fighting for this control ever since BF3. Back when Battlefield 4 came out, they put a lot of restrictions, really clamped down on the admins and what we could do. They removed things like for us being able to have players in the server with an idle timeout, so they would kick us after just a few minutes of being in the server if our players were idle. This was a big deal because when servers would empty out in the middle of the night, which would often happen almost every day, we would have to have people get on in the morning to go fill up those servers and get people playing and entice them into the servers by having more people in there. And this is a common thing. You will see this in every Battlefield community out there. So DICE really put a big clamp down on this. And what eventually happened with BF4 is that a lot of the top BF4 communities actually banded together and, all basically sent a mission statement kind of out to DICE and said, hey, this is causing a problem with our communities. We're not able to run our servers properly, which is going to keep your game going on the PC. And we tried to get changes made on the PC, and some changes were eventually made as a result of that. So I would like to maybe see something like that this time around and see some of the communities really band together to get some of these changes implemented before Battlefield 1 comes out, because I think it's imperative for us to have custom servers. I mentioned the server size and Rush just not having enough players at 24. Looking over on the Battlefield 4 servers right now, just looking at Rush, the servers that are still active, we can see here 64 players. These are the servers that actually have people in them. 64, 64, 48, 32, 32, 32, 32, 30, 24. So you see most of these are over 24. There's only one server here that actually has people in it that's over 24 people. There's only 24 people. The rest of them are kind of 30. 32 seems to be very popular, which I think is a good amount. Personally, I would prefer 48. 64 has always been a little hectic for me, but then again, everyone has their different tastes, and that's always been one of the things that I liked about playing Battlefield on the PC over the console, is that we had more options like this because our PCs are capable of doing the full 64-player servers, so I don't want to see the restrictions made to our gameplay as a result of that because of the complaints of a few. In the past, a lot of people complain about bad admins and stuff like that, and to the people that kind of complain about bad admins or being kicked for using certain weapon types, I say to just go and find good communities then and good servers to join. If you are getting kicked for doing too good, then you know what? Don't play on that server. That's a bad community to be playing around, and just go find a good community. And as far as being kicked for weapons, those are usually very clearly labeled in the rules when you join a server or right on the title of the servers themselves. Another thing that could possibly come up as a result of this is maybe we won't be able to have playlists the way that we would like in the past. We don't know what kind of restrictions DICE could implement on the playlist. Looking at Game Tracker, some of the top, these are the top Battlefield servers in the world right now for Battlefield 4. What do we see? 24/7 Operation Locker, Conquest Large all maps. Okay, 24/7 Locker, Locker only, 3,200 tickets. Metro only, no Noob Magnet, 24/7 Railway, Siege of Shanghai, 24/7. So what's going to happen to these types of servers? Are we going to be able to have custom playlists, which are things that we had to customize? Within Procon, and having, higher ticket counts, stuff like that on maps like Operation Locker or Operation Metro, which was one of my favorite maps back in BF3. I used to play that map constantly, 24/7 Operation Metro. So we see here on Battlefield 4 that continued with Locker and Metro as well. So I want to see just basically all customization like we've had in the past, which I think was one of the best selling points about the game on the PC, and it seems like DICE is kind of stripping that away. The other potential problem is hackers. Battlefield 4 does use Fair Fight, but that is not always perfect. It does pick up things. If like some guy goes on a tear and gets like 7 headshots in the span of 3 seconds, yeah, it's going to remove him from the server, and it's going to say, hey, this guy is probably hacking. But over time, sometimes they would miss things like damage modifiers. We would frequently have to go into things like BF4 stats and actually look at a player's hit registration and see, how many hits was he getting on target versus how many kills he was getting and with what weapon. And we would kind of have to do the math there and figure out, is this guy getting the right amount of kills for the weapon is he using? Is he getting too many headshots for the weapon he was using? There was a lot of human element involved in removing actual hackers and not just removing a guy because, oh, we thought he was too good. I'm not saying there aren't communities or bad admins out there that do that will just see a guy that's doing way too good. People in chat will say he's a hacker and they'll remove him. That's a bad admin. That is someone that should not be running a server. And I don't know, maybe there should be some policing done by DICE to police these types of servers, and maybe they could have their servers revoked if they continue that type of behavior. But what I don't think the solution is to go ahead and remove that human control altogether, which is a very real possibility because DICE wants to have the control of, being able to put players on the teams together with their squads, which is good. I'm really happy that they are, having it so that, DICE could actually group players together with their squad mates so that they can play together. But I still think admins should have the ability to swap players around if need be, if teams are completely unbalanced, which is certainly a possibility. Teams could become unbalanced, several matches in a row. One team is just stomping a mud hole into the other side repeatedly, and eventually what you're going to see is that server is going to start to lose players and it's going to empty out because you don't have an admin there that could step in and either, just move things around a bit, even if they are keeping squads together, being able to move players around. So that is just one instance where that could come up, where you would need an admin, in addition to obviously removing hackers as well. So I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here, guys. I'd love to get your feedback on this down in the comments below on Battlefield 1 and the custom servers, because there is certainly two sides to this. I'm seeing a lot of people right now praising DICE for this. They are happy to be seeing these changes because maybe they were on the receiving end of a bad admin in the past, and that kind of put a bad taste in their mouth about Battlefield on the PC and custom servers in general. And, hopefully those guys could just find good servers to play on because they are out there. There are more good servers than there are bad servers. I really do believe that. So let me know your thoughts on this, though. Do you think we should have the full custom server control like before? Or should DICE just, and DICE do a better job of policing those servers? Or should they just come through altogether and just have full control of everything, which I think is probably going to end up taking away from a lot of the game for me. But like I said, gonna get out of here, and I will catch you guys next time. Ciao.